Kris, I would start a business, but the SBA reports that the average person needs $30,000 to do that. I don't have $30,000. So today I'm going to share with you different methods for funding your business. Some are traditional, all the way to some of the most untraditional, as in, how do you infinitely fund your business without needing money at all?
One shot, not a future for sure. Let's go. I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, not a future for sure. Let's go.
Any guesses as to the number one reason why more people don't start businesses? Well, it's because they lack this stuff. Where do I get the money to start a business? Yeah, there's people concerned about the risk and what happens if it doesn't work, but there's actually a lot of people that would that don't. 36% of Americans, however, have actually at one point or another in their life started a business. So entrepreneurship is very much the lifeblood of this country, and it is the way that you go about financially controlling your destiny at the highest level possible. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sharing with you 3 of the major ways that people actually get funding. The first one is quite traditional. I think it'll be very educational. But then what I want to do is I want to show you some of the less traditional methods that can allow you to get in the game of any business without necessarily needing a whole pile of cash. Forbes came out with an article talking about bootstrapping your fortune. And if you're not familiar with the term, bootstrapping basically means starting your business on the cheap. How can I get this thing going if I don't have piles of cash? Entrepreneurship is crucial, they report, to building wealth. And 340 of Forbes' 400 richest Americans started their first business before the age of 40. If you're younger than 40, it is time to get snapping and get rocking and rolling. And you know what this means? It means that while 90% of millionaires built their wealth in real estate, don't forget that 100% of billionaires built it in private equity. That really means the ownership of businesses. They actually own a stake in different companies, whether their own or other people's. Here's the question then. How do you fund a business if you're not already rich, right? The chicken or the egg, what comes first?
It's a chicken-egg situation.
What do you mean? What's he mean, chicken?
Well, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Oh, it's irrelevant.
And it's like, well, I would like to have a business because I'd like to build wealth, but I don't got the cash. What are my options, Kris? Okay, the first of the 3 methods that we're going to talk about today is conventional financing. Conventional means traditional, how most people have established the methods for acquiring money to do such things. Well, you've got 3 major options, super popular. Here's the first one. It's called an SBA loan. It's like the government wants to support entrepreneurship, so they have an institution that basically says, hey, bring us your business idea and your business plan and what you're gonna do, and let us take a crack at lending you money. And often the government will give you loans up to 90% of what you need. It's pretty awesome. So the US Small Business Administration offers government backing for business loans ranging from $50,000 to over $2 million. So this could be a really simple endeavor, or this could be something that you need quite a bit more money on. Let's talk about lines of credit. Literally, you go to a bank and say, hey, based on my finances or based on my credit or based on my savings, can I get some type of personal line of credit? Lines of credit offer a present source of cash, which only charges interest of the portion that is currently borrowed. So you might say, well, I got a line of credit for $30,000 and I only used $5,000 of it. You're actually only being charged interest on the portion that you've used, but it's nice to know, should you need more or you're scaling your business, that line of credit can go higher and higher and higher depending on what you've qualified for. And this third one right here, personal network. A lot of people will actually go to trusted connections, angel investors, or even just friends and family and say, hey, there's this business I want to do. Do you want to participate in it? Can you loan the money for it? Do you want to be partners in it? And frankly, this is how a lot of businesses actually get started. You go to the people you know and say, hey, here's this thing and I've thought it through and I want to know what you think. And if they like it, maybe they'll help put up the cash. I mean, this is actually how I got in the game of real estate. It took me 14 months to scrape up money for my very first house. By the way, real estate is a business. But then I eventually stopped saving up money for real estate because it was just taking too long. I wanted a faster method. And I went to my father-in-law and basically said, hey, here's what I'm doing. He chose to support me. We ended up buying 50 homes together. And that happened over a period of time. But I learned that your personal network can equate to your net worth. So the problem with traditional financing or conventional financing is I'm basically saying walk into your bank or even talk to the government and they're going to say, here, fill out all of this paperwork and your social security number, and let's look at your history. And you might say, well, what if I have bad credit, or what if they don't view me as a good risk? There's a reason why a lot of people say, well, if that doesn't work, I guess I'm up a creek without a paddle. That is how you say that. But what I'm going to do right now is we're going to move on to the second of 3 methods. And this one is a lot more creative. Like, it's outside the box. Check it out. There are businesses every day that people start with crowdfunding. This is like, hey, this is me. I want to do this thing. I think it's kind of cool. And if you agree, then throw a little bit of money at this. And then when my business is open or started, or I write the book or I do the thing, I'll give you first dibs on the product or service. And it's kind of a cool way that people crowd together and fund. Crowdfunding. Sites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo offer a unique, low-risk way to get a business going, but it's not going to work for all types of business ventures. Then number 2 here, you've got grants. Grants is like free money, and there are institutions and even the government that will actually say, hey, if you qualify for these certain things, we might just give you money because we're trying to stimulate financially that particular sector. Depending on the business you start or purchase, there may be free money for the taking. However, grant institutions are both picky and rare. Often people will actually find out about grants first and then decide if they want to pursue that thing. Like my wife and I, we have a charitable foundation and it's private. And we just got a $10,000 a month grant every month, indefinitely forever, for marketing spend. We took a month, we qualified for it. That's free money that we can use. Why does it exist? Because there's people that want to help foundations do good in the world, and it's kind of a cool thing. Now I'm going to share with you my favorite version of creative financing. It's called owner carry. It means that somewhere out there, the business that you're buying is owned by someone else. What if they were willing to give you terms like a bank? Many existing businesses can be bought by brokering payment terms with the owner. So for example, it could be a franchise that I'm interested in, or maybe it's someone's business down the street, or let's keep it real simple. Someone has a lawn care company and they do the lawn for 300 homes and they're bringing in, I don't know, $30,000 a month, and they got employees or whatever, right? You could go to that owner who says, I'm trying to sell this thing, and you don't have $300,000 to give them for their business. But you might say, hey, what if I give you $20,000 a month for the next 2 years? You'll end up getting, let's call it $400,000 instead of $300,000, but you'll get it in time. What a great deal for you. Remember, you're stepping into a business that is collecting 30 grand a month. And what you're going to do is you're going to take 20,000 of that and you're going to actually pay it to the owner. Ultimately will mean that you're coming less out of pocket. And that's what owner carry means. It means whoever owned the thing that you're trying to do before, will you kind of be the bank? And often they will, and that's a great solution. And now I've got my third and final hack for today's video on how you can creatively finance a business. This one is really out there by way of creativity. Check it out. It comes from a fellow peer influencer, Alex Hormozi. He has this thing out there called unlimited financing. He's a multimillionaire entrepreneur and he's cracked the equation for infinite business financing. And he's got this really cool equation that essentially says this. If you are selling something and the cost of selling that thing is like $200 to acquire the client and then also to fulfill on the client, but you make at least $200. So you're selling this thing for $400. 200 goes to the cost. There's 200 left over for profit. He says that 50% margin puts you in ratio that honestly, you should be able to fund your own business with something as simple as a credit card. Like literally put the $200 on credit card, collect the 400 and then pay the thing off. And then you can just scale your business this way. It's a very simple equation that essentially says this. If you are going to do a business, make sure it's a profitable one and not by a little. Don't do a business that has a 10% margin. Like I collected $1, we did everything, I paid all my employees and whatever's, and there's only a dime left. There's only 10% left. That's called a small margin. If you want to succeed in business, his equation says you need at least a 50% margin, which means $1 came in and I got to at least keep 50 cents of it for this whole thing to be worthwhile. And if you're collecting that much, his equation says you've got such a good margin that it's going to be easy. You could trust yourself to use your credit card to build your business. You could literally borrow money from an aunt or uncle or whatever. And because you're profitable, you'll always be able to pay that off and have leftover money. I'm always looking for leverage. What Alex Hormozi is really saying here, this infinite model, he's really saying that if you can find something that works once and makes you a lot of money, then you should figure out how to do it a million times over and over and over again. Like, I use the exact same principle in the game of real estate. For example, when I bought my first house, I bought it at such a discount that a short time later, the bank said, geez, Kris, you got a lot of equity in this home. Here's a $20,000 line of credit. It's called a home equity line of credit. Well, I used my home equity line of credit and kept the house, but guess what I did with the money? I borrowed against the house and bought a second house with it. The first house bought the second house. And guess what the second house did? It bought me the third house. And I basically developed a model where money could grow money, could grow money, could grow money. Basically, you're looking for a machine, whether it's real estate, whether it's business, you're looking for an ATM machine. I put this money in and it gives me this money back. If you put $10,000 in something and it gave you $20,000 back, how often would you do that trade? What if you put 10 grand in and it gave you 30,000 back, or you put $10,000 in and it gives you 50,000? How often would you do that? The answer, as many times as you possibly could. And in a moment, I'm gonna share with you my favorite way of building a machine just like that. Here's the bottom line. You don't need a fortune to make one. No matter your industry, there's always a way to leverage what you have to make more of it. The ultimate form of leverage is boosting your own skill set, and more importantly, finding a mentor with a system that you can multiply over and over and over again. And today you have found that mentor. I hope you're a subscriber on all my stuff. This book gives you 3 different ways to build an ATM machine that you put something in and it gives you more out over and over and over again. The book is called Have It All, and this is a gift from me to you, as in, click the link below and I am gonna have you cover the shipping on it, but the entire book, full cover, full color, I'm having my team ship this out to you, and this book will reveal, first of all, 5 things that you do to become a self-made millionaire in under 5 years, but more importantly, what are these machines that you can build where you put something in and you get more out every single time? Click the link below, get the book now. So I guess you could say things are getting pretty serious. I mean, by now you're a subscriber, definitely on first base, a lot of financial education, and we're warming up to you owning your next business. And if you're gonna do that, you're gonna need an LLC, right? Like, you're gonna need a structure for housing your business. And I have made a video for you on everything you need to know about setting up your first business. Click right here, let me show you.